Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back on the show.
John, your 2020 favorites index was down 24.5% in March, but it snapped back to that yesterday, so it was up 0.5%. Azimuth Exploration was one of your favorites that has rallied this week. Isn't exploration still locked down in Quebec?
Yeah, Jim, Quebec was one of the provinces that locked down a lot of things, including mining and exploration, which it did not declare to be an essential service. Quebec is the hardest hit of the Canadian provinces, apparently because they managed to have their spring break earlier than everybody. So we had all the Quebecers either in Europe or in the United States picking up the coronavirus from these places where it was already proliferating. Now, we did have some good news. Quebec is allowing mining to resume right now, but exploration is not scheduled to be allowed to resume until May 4th. So, but that's only a couple of weeks away from now. Azimuth exploration is moving up in part because gold, the pressure from all the liquidation is off of gold. Gold is now responding to the trillions of dollars that have been printed to keep the market from collapsing in its entirety. And Azimuth had the drill rigs, all the fuel, all the camp, all on the site, ready to go. The Elmer project in Quebec, when the plug was pulled on exploration, they had to pull the crew out. So they can put, as soon as they're allowed to go back and start drilling, the only delay is getting the crew physically onto the site, and they can start drilling. Now, May in the James Bay area is a bit of a tricky period. It's the beginning of a spring thaw, and it is also when the geese migrate through the area, and it's a special time for the Cree people to hunt. And so there's been an informal understanding with the exploration industry that during the goose hunting season of May, little exploration gets done so that there isn't problems with hunters getting in the way of exploration activity. But during May, nobody does any prospecting or mapping or field work like that because everything is a mess. And the exploration activities that can be done, geophysical surveys and that, well, that's because they fly all over the place. That's not a good thing to do while the hunters are shooting geese. So that generally does not get done during May. Drilling is stationary, and Jean-Marc Louland says that they are talking to the Cree people that are in the immediate area about getting permission to move their crew onto the drill site and start drilling away. And the likelihood is that the Cree people will say, yeah, that's fine, so long as you're not flying around getting in the way of our hunting activities. So the general view is that by early May, they will be on-site drilling. Now the question is, will they be able to drill during the summer? And one of the byproducts of the IP survey that they completed in February was that it showed the zones to be that the targets that they should be drilling where the pyrite is associated with the gold mineralization is offset from what they had originally expected just by projecting the trend of the 7-kilometer shear structure within which these dilational veins occur. And one of the positive outcomes of that is that the targets, most of them now are on more stable ground and not in the swampy areas that might have restricted exploration activity during the summer. So Azimuth is set to drill the hell out of the Patwan prospect and the associated zones on the Elmer project. This is a potentially major gold discovery. I also learned that they managed to get the IP survey done on the Piqua copper project, which is west of Midland's Mithril project, which was the hope for a James Bay area play last year. That didn't quite pan out. The other half of the system is on the ground controlled by SOQUEM and Azimuth, and we haven't yet heard what the outcome of this survey is. They are still processing it, but we'll find out, I guess, in the next few weeks whether or not The IP anomalies are sufficiently associated with the boulders and outcrop at surface that runs copper to justify a summer drill program, and that would not happen until July. And the general expectation is that the lockdowns will be lifted by the summer, because that's also the seasonal downturn for flu infectiousness. So the stock is trending up, and this because people are expecting, okay, we've had a slight delay, but by May this will be an exploration play going on. And it is important to point out that the overall market outlook, although we're in the midst of a V-shaped recovery, I think this will be a short-lived V-shaped recovery. I've created a graphic on my website in the U.S. Jobs Center, which compares the a period from 1919, end of 1919 to 1929 and onwards to 1934 with the last decade today. And it's remarkable how the Dow's behavior almost mirrors the big uptrend during the Roaring '20s with a very sharp drop. And right now it's emulating the sharp rebound that happened in 1929 that then failed 6 months later, and the Dow ended up going substantially lower, not bottoming until 1932, and then of course they were in the midst of depression. In 6 months, we will see phase 2 of the coronavirus when the normal flu season resumes in October. The suppression strategy that has been deployed will simply flatten the curve, or will not eliminate the curve unless for some reasons there are 100 million vaccine doses available that can be deployed by then. So the overall outlook for the economy and the markets are continuing to be negative in my view. But against this backdrop, the rising gold price and the fact that an exploration play is an island unto itself, and that people are stuck, not sure what to do with themselves, but there is still capital in the system. Not everybody is wiped out, can't pay their rent. So plays like Azimuth Exploration and its Elmer play, that can attract a lot of activity. So my hope is that juniors that have the money and that are able to do exploration drilling on a high stakes potential play will attract a lot of attention. And I think the snapback we're seeing in the sort of my favorites collection of about 25 companies reflects this awareness that, yes, we got blasted down during the panic selling of the past month. The big markets are not really going to recover too much and will fail again. But an exploration discovery play is something all by itself, and it's more linked to the trend in the gold price. And I think with what we've seen and can expect in terms of further fiscal stimulus policies to turn this around once the coronavirus suppress and lift strategy is no longer required, we're in the beginning of a gold-linked bull market.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Aven Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aven's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avenresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, VR Resources put out news today about a single sample value from its Amsel Gold-Silver project in Nevada's Walker Lane. Why is the stock creeping higher?
I saw that press release this morning, and I also saw the stock creeping higher, so I checked it out and said, what is going on here? This is one sample out of 135 samples done on a grid over this big 2 by 3 kilometer potassium anomaly on the Amzel project in the Walker Lane. It ran 311 grams per ton silver and 4.1 grams per ton gold, and that's really good. But why talk about this one sample? And I called up Mike Gunning, who's a PhD and you know can spin the polysyllabic geoterms quite effectively, and it is really quite interesting how a news release that looks like geo gobbledygook with one single sample actually carries a lot of meaning about the potential of the Amzel project to be a very substantial discovery if and when it gets drilled later this year. The sample that they highlighted was this altar tuff, which pretty boring looking in this project, this target area that they have. It's the quartz adularia veins with the association with pyrite that carries the gold. And the analog is the Round Mountain deposit, which is a big stockwork system of these veins, and it becomes a question of what is the average grade of these veinlets, of the gold within the veinlets. And until you drill something like this, you don't really know. But the importance of this sample was they weren't expecting any grade like this. This is actually on the periphery of the IP anomalies, the two of them that they have developed within this larger potassium anomaly, which they think, of course, is the basis for a big, epithermal system. And it's being on the periphery tells them that this is a very powerful fertile system. And the fact that this is just an outlier sample is not the important thing. It's the fact that it exists at all in this broader alteration halo. And it's other samples, I'm pretty sure, within that 135 of similar material at considerably lower values. But then these are just pinpoints within the system. And this got Mike Gunning's team thinking more about Round Mountain, which originally was supposed to be an underground mine, but then got developed as open pit bulk tonnage mine. The great prediction there has been a bit of a headache. They actually have to assay to find where it is, and that's because the multi-pulse system has created a gold mineralization not just in the veinlets, but also in other parts of the system. And so now they are thinking that, wow, this thing has just moved a notch higher for prospectivity. It's never been drilled on the edge of it. It was drilled by Selco in 1980-81, and there was some long intersection of 0.1 gram per ton that wasn't very interesting. But this project area, which covers part of a caldera within what they call the 20-kilometer Big Ten trend, it has been ignored for the past 30, 40 years, partly because it's remote compared to everything else in there, but also because there wasn't really anything special to attract attention. It wasn't until Aven Resources completed a radiometric survey that this potassium anomaly, which reflects an alteration halo, showed up. And it is the largest one within the whole trend, and it really stands out. And they've got all the geochemistry of gold, silver saying this is a major target. But one of the other things that came out in my chat with Mike Gunning is that the two IP anomalies, which go down to about 500 meters and that occupy the sort of southwestern third of the potassium anomaly, there appears to be a structural component to the northern part. And with the sample farther to the north outside the immediate IP anomaly, the thinking now is maybe we don't just have this big Round Mountain clone, a deposit maybe 1,000 meters by 1,500 meters, large tonnage with millions of ounces, but embedded inside it could be a mini Comstock. Now, Comstock itself runs for 4 kilometers, so the strike isn't here in this thing. The entire potassium anomaly is only 2 by 3 kilometers. But within there could be a high-grade component. And the company has to do a environmental baseline study this summer, which the Forest Service will then process. And the hope is that they get a permit by the end of August to allow a drill program from September to November. The target's fairly high in an area where there's still snow on the ground now, so it's not something that you want to drill in winter. But the hope is that they can get this permit, put drill rigs onto this target, get some long holes. They plan to assay everything now that they know that it isn't just the quartz adularia veins that run the gold-silver. And we get a discovery showing that, hey, here is a multi-million-ounce new discovery in the Walker Lane south of the Tonopah area. So the news release, although it sounds like geological mumbo-jumbo, it's a very interesting, important one, and the stock is creeping higher because some investors understand, hey, this thing just went up a notch in terms of prospectivity. The key is to get that permit before September so that they can get this drill program going.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Cyprus Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cyprus Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cyprusdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Midas Gold has also bounced back in recent weeks. Is this due to the rising price of gold or hopes that the draft environmental impact statement will be filed soon?
Well, it certainly isn't because the environmental impact statement is going to be filed in the second quarter as had been hoped at the beginning of the year. The latest guidance from the company is that it will not be accepted until the third quarter of this year. And the excuse given by the Forest Service is they want to make sure that the document is very accessible to the general public so that they can understand what's going on and really have no excuses for filing endless, pointless comments that misunderstand what's going on. But it's also to accommodate the reality that although Idaho has declared mining and exploration as essential activities that are exempt from the coronavirus lockdown, all the people in the Forest Service and that they are all working from home, and so everything is less efficient than it should be. But the gold is going up. I mean, the stock price has rebounded because gold, after the pressure during the general market meltdown, has bounced back above $1,700. The trillions of dollars printed to keep everything from falling apart. That's ultimately becoming a case for expecting a higher gold price in the long run. The uncertainty unleashed by this economic downturn. The IMF in its World Economic Outlook predicted a 6% decline from initial expectations for global economic growth to actually being negative 3% going forward, and with next year not particularly great either. The whole world is facing a very difficult period recovering from the coronavirus lockdown, and monetary policy is pretty much at its limit. Down the road, there will have to come more serious fiscal stimulus policies, the sort that the gold bugs traditionally hate because it requires piling on more debt. But one of the other things that's coming out is that the great power game between China and the United States, it has been accelerated by this crisis. Russia apparently is still very busy out there seeding the social media with disinformation, trying to blame the United States for this coronavirus. China has picked up on this theme, even though it originated in their backyard, and they, through their dictatorship's obsession with having only good news come out, managed to drop the ball and did not take care of this early on. The United States also ignored this problem and pretended it was just a liberal conspiracy to tank the economy, a proposition that's so absurd. It's I just shake my head. But a lot of thinking is now going into, we need to bring our supply chains closer to home. Now, gold isn't really needed for anything, but what I've always loved about the Stibnite project of Midas Gold is that it has a very significant antimony credit, and in fact, as part of their river diversion tunnel, they planned it so it comes very close to an area where they know is very high grade antimony, not much gold there. But if it ever became necessary for the United States to develop a domestic supply of antimony, this could very easily be done, and America would have all the antimony it needs. And antimony, 50% of it is used as a flame retardant. Another 25% is used in lead acid batteries, and those aren't going to go away for a while yet. But 62% of all antimony, it comes from China, and another 20% comes from Russia, and the next 10% comes from Tajikistan, and then the next 2% comes from Bolivia, and the next 2% from Myanmar, and then another fraction from Turkey, and only like a 0.4% comes from Australia, one of the countries that one might regard as friendly to the United States. So the current trend of autarky, where everybody becomes self-sufficient, and it's my country first and only, and don't give a damn about anybody else, antimony supply is a major vulnerability for the United States. It's not a sexy metal like some of these others, like lithium and so on, that go into electric vehicles and all that. It is a sort of bread and butter part of the general economy. So I'm not that bothered that the permitting process has been delayed another 3 to 6 months for Midas Gold. We are now have gold at a price level where it probably offsets the the damage caused by Trump's tariffs on aluminum and steel that have boosted capex for this project. And I'm pretty confident that we will see gold clear $2,000 over the next 12 months as this economic situation fails to turn around into a sustained V-shaped recovery. And projects like this, they offer the optionality on the gold. And once it's been approved, I think it'll be fast-tracked, because that antimony byproduct credit, although it's only a fragment of the future cash flow, it is of strategic importance to the United States.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome.
We've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.